what does it look like giving up the fight?
Good question. So to truly give up the fight, there needs to develop within oneself a love of truth. And a love of truth no matter what you have to feel in order to love truth. So if we can give an example of that. Let's say I'm in a condition of doubt. Doubt is a condition of the emotions that causes me to not want to hear truth. Because if I hear truth, then doubt will disappear. And if doubt disappears, then I'll have to take action. So most people who are in a state of doubt want to stay in it, right? So doubt will fight for itself. It'll keep putting its head up and saying, but what about this? And but what about that? And similar to how many of you were yesterday with your questions, you go, but what about this? And but what about that? And not understanding that most of those questions are driven by a desire to not accept what the loving explanation is. Now, this is something I've had to learn myself a lot, and that is love, and we were talking about this at lunch a bit, where love and truth go hand in hand with each other. So if somebody says something to me and there's no love in what they're saying, like their explanation is unloving, or I can see quite easily some holes in love where this doesn't relate to love, then I know for a fact that it's false. Before I even ask God about it, I know for a fact it's false, right? Because it's not loving, and anything that's not loving is false, right? So once you understand that everything that's not loving is false, you can see it's quite easy to determine, as long as you know what love is, which is another discussion, isn't it? We need to have that. But as long as you know what love is, whatever is unloving must be false, so therefore I need to just dismiss it. Right? But if I can't work out what's loving and what's not, which many of us are in the state of because we had childhoods where sometimes we were loved and then other times we weren't, and then our parents told us they were loving us while they were smacking us, and there's all sorts of reasons why I might have a very distorted view of love, And so when I get presented with information in that state, I need to put it on the maybe list until I can work out whether it's loving or not. Does that make sense to everyone? So in Belgium, I said there's basically three answers to any problem, isn't there? There's yes, no, and maybe. So what I'm recommending to you is if you don't know whether something's loving or not, then put it on the maybe list. It needs more thought. It needs more consideration. It needs more prayer. It needs more desire to know the truth if it's on the maybe list. So you don't neglect the maybe list. So a lot of people, when they are presented with a problem and they go, oh, I don't know what the answer is, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Most people then are in a state of confusion, don't like feeling confusion. So what they want is resolution, one way or the other. So what a lot of people do with the maybe list, they can't cope emotionally with a maybe list. Like when you start, your maybe list is like, it's the longest list, right, that you have. And most people get confused with the maybe list, and then they go, just make out there's no maybe list. Or just tell me what's right and wrong. Or I'm just going to do this anyway, without really determining whether it was right or wrong. So there are emotional issues that you face when you have a maybe answer, which are all about doubt, confusion, and these kind of emotions. There's an emotional response you have if the answer is no, which is all about, I'm getting denied now. I'm getting my expectations not met now. I don't like that idea. I want the answer to be yes. And then there's emotions that you'll have when the answers are yes, which is, I don't like that answer. I wish the answer was no, right? And there's reasons why we want the answer to be yes, no, or maybe. And for many of us, maybe is intolerable. And so many times we want the answer to be no or yes in favour of what we already believe. And so we're not open to hearing from God what the truth is. Now, God has gifted you, your soul, with a mechanism of the conscience to work out what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not true. He's given you the gift of that. But when we have all these emotions tied into receiving truth, we are not very open to any answer at all, other than something that already agrees with our established feeling. That's it. It's the only thing we're open to. Now, if I've grown up in Australia and you've grown up in Austria or in Germany or, in Serbia or any of the other countries that are represented here, you and I have very different views based on our socialisation of our upbringing, very different views about what love is. And it's likely that all of us are wrong about many of those things. And the beauty of having a relationship with God is God's never wrong. And so if you have a relationship with God, you can receive the truth from God because he's never wrong. But the key is, do you want the truth that badly that you're willing to go through any emotion that you might need to go through to get it? That you're going to be willing to go through any pain to get the truth? That's the attitude that needs to be had. Now, that attitude, I have talked to you, you've probably seen me talk to you about that before. That attitude is called humble. That's what humility is. The willingness to go through anything just to find the truth. That's what it means to be humble. The willingness to see and get perspective that you know very little of the truth as you are right now, compared to what God knows. God's infinite. He knows everything. He knows how you were created. He knows your intricate life experience. He knows far more than I know about everything. When I say far more, infinitely more than I know about everything. He knows infinitely more than you know about everything. So it would make a lot of sense to actually have a relationship with God in order to determine what truth is. But that's going to require you being humble. Now on earth, being humble, it's a very rare thing that I see a person humble on earth. In almost every seminar we have, there's barely anybody who's humble. Right? So don't be shocked when I say to you, you're not humble yet. Because it's a normal condition of earth. The reason why earth is so devoid of truth is because earth is so devoid of humility. Right? And you see it everywhere. You see it in society, you see it in politics, you see it in religion, you see it in, medical profession, you see it every walk of life you can imagine. There's a lack of humility. Right? And that closes us to receiving truth. But also, you can see that while we have these emotions, humility is going to be difficult. Because every time we're presented with an idea or a thought that's contrary to what I believe, I'm going to want to get into one of these things to fight for the error. And that's the opposite of having humility. I want to get into rage. I want to get into anger. Rage and anger are power over my feelings. Right? Condescension is power over my feeling and making you feel bad while I get power over my feeling. Time is just, I'm just going to lay back and let time go past and hopefully things will change. Right? Doubt and confusion is, it's better to have doubt and confusion because then you don't have to take a positive action. You don't have to work out what love is and then do it. Right? Comparing, excusing, judging, minimise, these are all things we do, emotional things we do, that are all with the goal of supporting error. A person who loves truth doesn't do any of those things. Right? Any of them. You will get to the stage in your future, if you are desirous of that stage, you will get to the stage in the future that you never experience any of these ever again. Ever. No celestial spirit ever feels any of these things. Now, there's plenty of times when a celestial spirit doesn't know something, because obviously God's infinite and he knows there's an infinite amount of truth to find out, and obviously every human whether you're connected to God or not, are finite. And as a result of being finite, you're not ever going to know everything, but you're not going to be worried and confused about it. And you're not going to be in doubt that it can't happen, that you won't find it out at some point in your future. You won't blame God. You won't be judging other people. You won't be minimising your own condition, because your own condition's perfect now. There's nothing to minimise, right? You won't be in illusion and denial. You won't be excusing bad things, ever. None of our spirit friends do these things. None of our celestial spirit friends do these things. That's because they are connected to God, and God doesn't do any of those things. God knows everything, so God doesn't need to doubt anything. He knows that He created perfect you, and we, humans, destroyed, not permanently destroyed, you could say we tainted perfect you through experience, through desire, through our desire to skip away from God's and enter into a condition of sin. But these conditions are demonstrating that we are still in sin. Missing the mark of perfection, missing the mark of love. A person who loves does not do any of these things. Any of them. All right? Now, obviously, if we're in a state of progress, we've got to get from where we are to a condition of love. While we're in a state of progress, we may do some of these things, mightn't we? Because it's inevitable, probably, given that they're within us. But our goal eventually is to be perfect, and a part of perfection is not to do these things ever again. All right? And if you think of all of those things, they're all pretty uncomfortable emotions, aren't they? All of them. And this is our problem. We don't like feeling uncomfortable emotions. All right? Now, of course, none of these emotions are actually emotions that cause these things. They are all the effects of the denial of deeper things. If you have a look at the Belgian discussion, we talked about the deeper thing, which is sadness, grief, extreme grief. Grief is the thing that almost all of us cover with a multitude of things. These are all the things we do in fear. These are all expressions of fear. So you could say these methods. I'll just rub out the yes, no, maybe. These methods we're using to avoid truth are all fears. They're expressions of our fears. They're us expressing fear in the way that we've learnt to express it. All right? And fears, by definition, support error. So that's the purpose of these things, is to maintain the error. So we're okay understanding that? It's important to grasp this fundamental principle of your life for your future. If you ever wish to get rid of your error, you are going to go through a fight with your sin. And the first part of the fight is going to be a very thankless task of removing from yourselves all the methods you use to avoid your sin, which are all of your fears. You have to learn how to feel fear rather than do these things. That's the challenging thing to do.